You're listening to the Anxious Scholar Podcast, a podcast for anxious scholars. If you're a high school student who can't wait to go to university, but also is kind of overwhelmed with lots of unanswered questions like me, then you've definitely come to the right place. On this podcast, I sit down with HEC alumni while they share valuable advice from this exciting journey of theirs that we have yet to take. I really hope you'll enjoy this episode and learn lots of useful information about the college application process, unis, and higher education in general. Hello everyone and welcome to the podcast. My name is Victoria and I'm a sophomore student at EGM, and I'm here today with my guest Emilie. Emilie graduated from EGM in 2020, which was a pretty unusual year to say the least for the seniors since they didn't get to do the bac. She then went on to do her classe préparatoire at the lycée Janson de Sailly and is now currently studying in HEC since the beginning of this year. So she'll be able to tell us all about her experience from her admission process to her years at Prépa and finally to her impression of HEC. Hopefully you'll be able to get the most out of this conversation. Thank you so much, Emilie, for joining me. It's really good to have you.
Thank you.
Could you start by saying a few words about yourself and your background?
So as you said, I'm from EGM. I've been there my whole life basically, and so I'm half French, half Japanese. My mom is Japanese and my dad is French. I did 2 years of prépa, now in HEC, and loving it.
That's great. What are you studying currently right now in HEC?
So HEC is a business school, business and management school. So studying basic stuff you have to know for business, like accounting, finance, microeconomics, marketing, things like this. And then as a student, you have many opportunities to do different things, exchange, license with Université de Sorbonne, Assas, to launch your own startup, to do a double diploma. You can do so many things in different years, and this is what I really like about HEC. And so personally, for example, this year I'm going to go in Australia in the second semester. So
That's awesome. Even in the first year they do those trips.
So the exchange is mostly in the first year, and so second semester they offer you to go pretty much anywhere you want because there's so many partners, universities in the world. So, and I chose University of Melbourne, so I'm going to go to Melbourne second semester.
That's really interesting. What language are you taught in HEC? English?
So, actually both French and English. It just depends on the teachers. It's a mix of both, but then we are graded with the American system, so we have a GPA. Our grades are letters, so it's very much an American system, even though we have some classes in French.
And so since foreign students can come in and study at HEC, they don't have to do the classe préparatoire in advance.
No. It's a different selection process. So it's going to be, so you have this dossier to give. And so they're going to look at where you're from, your grades, etc. It's a whole different process from the Concours we did. And so those students are usually M1 students, so they usually have a bachelor already and they're coming to do a master's most of the time.
Oh, okay, so not for the same program as you?
No, not the same program. And then you have other programs after this, like MBAs, PhDs, which are different and for later.
That's great because you get to study with other students that are in other parts of their journey.
You are mixed. We are mixed a bit with international students in class, which is nice because then you meet different people. We're all together on the same campus and we all cross each other all the time.
And that's funny that your classes are taught in French and English, so it's kind of like our school.
You're
used to it.
That's what I really like. Cause I love being taught in French and English at EGM. I really love that, this international environment, which I kind of missed in Prépa. Not the same mentality, not the same way of doing, and so I'm really happy to have this a bit again in HEC.
And in terms of like requirements, did you have to do an English proficiency test like the TOEFLs or the IELTS?
To get in prépa, no, because there was at the Concours, you have this the English épreuve, which is not a TOEFL test or anything. You do have to pass it then after at HEC to be able to get your TOEFLs to your HEC diploma at the end, but it's like the very basic TOEFL and very
not
easy
a problem
to get.
for us.
Not a problem.
And when you were in high school, in what grade did you decide you wanted to go to HEC?
Quite early on, actually. Like, I don't really know why. Maybe because my dad did HEC, it probably influenced me for sure. But I think like in seconde, so that would be like 10th grade, I guess.
I'm in seconde right now.
Yeah. So I think maybe seconde I really started thinking that I wanted to do an école de commerce. And I think it just came naturally because I think that I just naturally was made to go towards like some management later on, so yeah.
It's interesting because different people like choose differently their university. So some like know they want to do this course and then choose university that offer it, and then for you it was like you wanted to go to HEC. And
I mean, things like to go to HEC you've got to go through prépa essentially, or you can choose to try and go afterwards with a master's, but it's way more uncertain. So let's say that I kind of did prépa because I wanted to go to a business school, like a good business school, rather than doing it for prépa. Whereas I have a lot of friends who did prépa because they wanted to do the prépa itself. They liked the fact that they were going to learn more about academic stuff, which wasn't my case, for example.
Yeah, for sure. I want to talk about like because prépa is a very unusual process, especially for people who are more familiar with like American systems, like in England, America. So I wanted to talk about like the process, since it's like a 2-step thing, like you said. First you apply to a prépa, and then you do it. It's very like 2 or 3 years of like intense like work. And then you're not even sure that you're going to get accepted to the Grandes Écoles that you want to go to. So could you explain to us, like, what are the classes préparatoires, like, how are they organized, and, like, what's their purpose, basically?
So a classe préparatoire is, I'd say it's kind of like the continuity of high school, basically. Since you're still taught the same material, like you still have math, French, philosophy, it's pretty much the same material. It's just that you're gonna dive into them way more deeply. You're gonna learn so much more stuff in so much less time. So it's gonna be very intensive. It's basically like a very intensive program, and it's also a program you choose because you want to learn how to work in a rigorous way, how to be efficient, and how to deal with stress and things like this. Like basically you go there to really work and learn the ways of working for later on. So that's what you learn in prépa. And then after prépa, there are different types of prépa, obviously, like for engineers, for people who want to go in biology, there are also literary prépa and then prépa commercial, like me. So they're different, and then they also get you to different places, obviously. So if you want to do like research, you're gonna do maybe more like math prépa or physics, and then for business school it's gonna be commerce. And so at the end of prépa, everyone passes a concours, which is national, and you are basically ranked. Everyone is ranked, and your ranking will then determine where you are accepted for orals, and then your ranking at the orals will determine basically what school you have at the end.
Okay, and do some lycées like only offer certain types of prépa? Like for example, you went to Janson de Sailly. Did you choose it, or is it like another system, like they choose you?
So basically you apply on prépa on Parcoursup. Most of them, because some private prépa do it out of Parcoursup, but it's very rare. And so then they obviously select you, and then you see what lycée accept you, and then you have to choose basically. And so for me, I was, among other lycées, accepted in Janson and Salon de Sailly. And so I kind of had a big dilemma between the two because they're pretty much ranked the same, have pretty much the same results, but then the mood there is really different. And so I think you've got to choose really according to, the mood there. Do you think you're going to fit in this lycée? Because obviously the people in different lycées are not the same, so we really got to see this. And so I kind of asked around some friends, Monsieur Okin at EGM, who really helped me, and in the end I chose Janson de Sailly, and it definitely was the right choice because it really fit me, like my personality, and I really was very happy there. So
that's really interesting. Did you know like about their, like you said, like environment, like community, because you visited it, for example, like Open Doors Day? Did you go to those?
So I said I did in my motivation letters, but I didn't because I think I wasn't there during the open days because I was actually applying for Bocconi, and I was in Milan to do the Bocconi test. So actually I think I missed those open days. Otherwise I would of course have gone. But for sure you've got to go there to feel the environment, to feel the mood, and talk also to the students there. We're going to tell you way better than anyone else how it is, how are the teachers. Especially this is very important also because some prépa maybe are very famous to have good teachers, so you also definitely want to go there for the teachers. So personally I didn't, but then I got some decent amount of feedback on Janson and on Salon de Sailly to make my choice, and when I went there, what I heard was true. I verified it for myself.
Yeah, and I have a question about that. Like when during your admission process, like in high school, who would you like turn to if you had any questions? Like maybe like you said, like the college counselor, or like you said your dad went there, so that's really like not the prépa for HEC. He could like, for example, answer your questions if you had any. Maybe like did you ever like contact, I don't know, like human resources? You can like contact them directly.
So yeah, when I applied EGM for my French applications, definitely turned towards the director, so Monsieur Okier, because I knew he knew me. And so, you want to turn to people who know you and who know your potential, your capacities, and where you would be fit to go. So that definitely helped me. And he is definitely one of the people who told me, I had the real profile for prépa, and that it would be a shame if I kind of threw away this opportunity because, I literally had the profile for this. So he definitely helped me. And then, like my dad was, he did HEC, but a long time ago. So, it was a bit complicated to verify kind of like his advice because obviously, it dates back from a while ago. Yeah. But then, you talk to people who are there already, actually, and you kind of, they just tell you how they work, how it is in the prépa, their daily lives, and then you just see for yourself if that corresponds to you, basically.
So it's you always felt like you could like turn to him and he would be very helpful in terms of like your questions. So. I know, like for example, right now in Paris, like this weekend, there's a salon of the Grandes Écoles organized by Studirama. Did you ever like visit those?
No, I didn't, because I just always knew that I wanted, like I didn't want anything else than business schools. Like honestly, medicine was not interested at all, law either. Honestly, I don't know, it was very natural to me. I just naturally turned towards business schools, and I just think it was the only thing that fit my personality, what I like doing in my daily life. So I didn't need to go to an orientation forum or anything because I already knew where I wanted to go. So, but then it's really good for people who don't know what they want to do afterwards. Personally, I did know, and I did feel like I knew where I wanted to go. But for sure, if you don't really know yet what interests you and you want to find out more about like schools and different like sectors, obviously go there. It's really great.
Yeah, you're really lucky if you already know like what you want to do and you're sure. You talk about business schools. Did you only consider Grandes Écoles like HEC in France, or did you also think of maybe applying to countries abroad? Well, like for example, like America, England, or even Italy?
Yeah. Well, I did actually. I applied in the UK. I applied at UCL and I got into management science. I also applied to Bath and got into 2 different business and management programs. And then I also applied to Bocconi in management for arts, culture, and creation. So I got into the programs in England, and I didn't in Bocconi, but I really for a long time hesitated between Prépa and the UCL program. And then I don't know, like when I got my offers from Janson, I think it kind of clicked something in me, and I kind of knew that I had to go to Janson, because I think that deep down I knew that Prépa was more for me than straight away going to live on my own in London. I don't think I was ready yet in Terminal to just leave and go to UCL. Like I wasn't really sure where that was going to get me, and I think I made the right choice.
Yeah. I was gonna ask you if you think it was worth it, because it's very, like you said, like academically challenging and very rigorous. And since you could have maybe like applied to schools like LSE in London, which is also a very good business school, and not do Prépa. For example, in terms of like how you study there in the classe préparatoire, I've heard that you are tested every week, and like you meet your professors every 2 weeks. So is that true? Is that how it works? And like did you find it hard to study at such a fast pace?
So for the second part of the question, in the first year, no, I didn't find it that hard, because I was coming from a GM which was already quite an academically challenging school. Personally, I worked quite a lot in the GM already, maybe more than what I should have. Like maybe I probably could have worked less, but since I already worked a lot, the first year Prépa wasn't such a big shock to me in terms of like work rhythm. The second year was, though, because it was the year of the Concours, and so obviously stress went up, competitivity also, and so I did find it hard in the second year for sure. And then, so in terms of what you said about the fact that you're tested every week, yes, you are. So you have like oral interrogations every week in different materials, and so you have like this whole schedule for the whole year, so what materials you're tested in, and so you have generally like 2 or 3 1-hour interrogations per week, and then you also have like DST, so devoir sur table. Usually either like for us it was like Saturdays or Tuesdays, or it depends, but then sometimes Saturdays. So you have that all the time, which basically forces you to work in a very regular way, and this is also what Prépa teaches you, is like to be very regular, to also organize yourself a lot. You've got to share your time in an equal way depending on the importance of the material. Obviously, like you can't only focus on math and just leave everything else on the side, because obviously then your grades are gonna suffer from it. So you've got to be very organized and know how to deal with stress also, because then sometimes you're gonna come to an interrogation and you won't be fully ready, but you've got to deal with that. And
Yeah, well, in terms of workload, it's definitely like very big, and it's a lot of studying, and like you said, regular. You can't just like not study for 1 week. You don't have the choice. And so I've heard students who are in Prépa that they don't really have time for like personal life, like dating, parties, or even like hobbies. Like if you do activities, like do you think it's possible to combine studies in Prépa and do like your activities, music or sports?
Well, from my personal experience, yes, I think it is possible. Because I think if you really want to have some time for yourself, you can get some time for yourself. And it's just like a matter of organization. Most people I know obviously kind of let down sports. They didn't kind of stop doing sports. For me, it was really essential because it's really important for me personally, for my mental health, to do some sports. Obviously, I didn't do as much as before, but I still had time to do 2 or 3 hours of sports a week, which was really good for Prépa. And I did this regularly for the 2 years. So I was very happy about this. And then so about like going out and things like this, obviously you're not gonna go out like every week and just get super smashed at a party. This is not possible. Although I think like in first year I did go out, you know, quite a bit, like not too much but quite a bit and enough, and I had a great time. I loved my first year in Prépa actually, and I think I really had a good equilibrium between work and my just personal time with my friends, which was great. Second year I think you have to make more sacrifices for sure. I obviously had less time for myself to go out, especially sports kept doing, but then, you know, everything that is like going out, etc. This you have, I think, to sacrifice a bit, but then, you know, I still manage to sometimes have some time for myself with my friends outside Prépa. So I think it depends on people, but for sure I think that if you want to make it, you can make it work.
That's good to hear that it's possible. Because you hear a lot of like saying that it is hard, but
it's for sure it's hard, but then you can make it if you want.
Yeah, and in terms of when you apply like in high school to a prépa, so like you mentioned the platform Parcoursup, which is the most common one probably, and the one our school I think uses.
Yeah.
Could you like tell us in a few words like how does it work basically?
So basically Parcoursup is like a platform that centralizes all your applications to pretty much all the programs you can ask for. Some schools and some programs, which are often private, do this process outside of Parcoursup, but then it's kind of like special cases. But then most universities use this platform to centralize all the demands, and then so you apply, you put all your the choices you want, what this program in this university in this school, whatever it is, there is a limitation, but then like it's a very high number, so you can basically put everything you want. And then after a certain time, the platform releases the results, so whether you've been accepted, rejected, or put on the waiting list for some programs in some places. And then at the very end of the year, like towards probably like June, you have normally your final results.
Okay, and so you have to like submit in your application like your transcripts, your grades.
Yeah, I mean it depends on what university or school you ask. They don't ask the same thing, but then mostly obviously your bulletin with your grades. Sometimes they'll ask for a motivation letter also. And then they also ask you to write about yourself, your hobbies, if you've already done some how do you say bénévolat, volontariat.
Volunteering.
Yeah, volunteering. Volunteering, or you know, like your hobbies, what you want to do later, and things like this. To have a bit of background on you. Yeah, it's kind of your CV. Yeah, it's a bit like your CV,
like a dossier application. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there like a minimum, a grade requirement, like average GPA type, moyenne générale?
It will basically depend on the school. Some schools are way more selective than others. Some schools, universities are not selective at all. So you just have to ask about this before, like to get the information before. For Prépa, for example, obviously, as you go up the rankings and towards the better Prépa, you know that they will seek the best students in France. So obviously you've got to be a top student if you want to go to the best Prépa. But then there isn't like a fixed grade which is imposed. So, you know, you can always hope to get in if you want, if you still have good grades. There isn't like a fixed grade, at least for Prépa.
In your application on Parcoursup, so you could choose, like you said, like I want to go to postuler. I want to apply to Janson de Sailly Prépa, Janson de Sailly. So you didn't say like I want to go to HEC and then
no.
Okay.
Yeah, no, you apply for the Prépa because the Concours and stuff, it's a whole different process, and it's afterwards. You know, it's 2 or 3 years after that. So you just apply for the Prépa, for a lycée, for this program, and has nothing to do with the schools after.
So in order to get into a prépa, you don't need to do any like concours, examen,
No.
Okay.
It's purely it's a
Purely
application.
CV application?
Yeah. Just like any other program in a university, regular university, it's the same.
Okay, so can you tell us about like the concours you had to go through to pass like after your 2 years of prépa to be accepted to HEC?
Yeah, so in this concours you have like different exams in all the materials you've been studying. So for commercial prépa, it's going to be maths, geopolitics, the two languages you're studying, and then culture générale. Yeah, and I'm probably missing another one. I don't remember. Oh no, yeah, and then you have like two exams on like it's like an exercise of it's called contraction. So you basically have like this very very long text which you have to resume in like 10% of the number of words of the text, and then another exam which is like you have 3 texts which you have to synthesize in one. So those are like the six or seven exams you have. And so they basically each material has different coefficients. So for example, math has a very very high coefficient. Geopolitics is second after that. And so for the whole 2 years or 3 years if you choose to do a third year, you work on the specific format of these exams. So you learn what are going to be, for example, in math, the typical questions that can fall on the exam. You learn different techniques. In geopolitics, you have a whole program to learn about because you're going to do a dissertation after an essay on it the day of the exam. Languages, it's going to be translation, so you're going to learn how to translate, different techniques to translate, etc. So yeah, you spend your 2 years training for this day. I mean these days because it's going to be on 1 week. So yeah.
And is it all like written, or you mentioned like the concision, text, like writing and translation, but is there like orals?
Yeah, so that's going to be like the second round if you want, because there is going to be a first ranking after the written exams. And so the first ranking determines basically what schools you can still apply to, basically, because for example, if you are ranked below 800, you know that you will not be able to get into HEC because they only take for the orals the top 800s. And so it's the same thing for all the schools, basically. And so after that, you have the orals, and then after the orals you have the final ranking, which determines which school you can get, basically. So in the orals you have other exams, so you don't have all the materials like I said in the written exams. Some schools it's going to be only languages. HEC, they're going to have more exams like maths, geopolitics, a special HEC exam which has a weird name, it's called triptyque. So yes, different schools have their different own exams. For the orals it's like a separate exam, yeah.
And how did it go for you? Wasn't too overwhelming? Because that sounds like a lot of exams and it's really not easy.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a very stressful period, and it's so decisive, and it's just like a time where you just give everything you have because you have nothing to lose. So you just like go in there and like you just focus and you just give it your best. Like for the written exams, I know that I was just like super focused, and honestly I wasn't really stressed. Like I was just like at my table, and I was just like, I'm gonna do what I have to do, and just went through it. And again, I think I just have a good way of dealing with stress. I know it's not the case for everyone, but yeah, personally I just took each exam at a time, went through the written exams, was super shocked to get into, and first admitted for the orals in HEC, and then for the orals it's a bit complicated for the orals because it's very famous it's famous that they have very harsh teachers. The people who examine you are not often not very nice to you.
Intimidating.
So, yeah, intimidating, or not very nice to you. And I don't say really such super nice stuff. So it can be very tough. But then they also do it to test you and challenge you. And you just have to not take it personally and just keep going and do your stuff. And then, yeah, like at the end, you just see what you get. But, it's like HEC, for example, you spend 3 days on the campus for the orals because it's quite a long process. So, you know, when you go there, there's no use in stressing, because like, or like even studying, they organize a lot of activities like to, you know, like for you to relax a bit between orals. So, you know, you can actually spend a good time during the orals, and I really loved it. And so yeah, I just did my orals and then relaxed a bit and then went back to my orals. And yeah, I didn't get, you know, the best grades, you know, but it's fine. Like at the end, the point is just to get in.
To get in, yeah. Do you remember like the questions? Like for example, you said like there's no point in studying. Is there a way to study for the orals?
Well, you study for the orals during your whole prépa actually, because basically the oral interrogations you have during the week, they are made to train you for the real orals. It depends on the prépa. Some prépa don't preparing them that well for the orals. But then in Janson it was pretty well done. And so you're basically used to just like speaking, to be interrogated orally throughout your 2 years. And then but before the real orals, at the end you kind of have like a special, more intensive training by your teachers. So you basically, in Janson for example, you could ask your teachers to give you some colle, because it's called a colle, those like oral interrogations. So you could ask your math teacher to do a colle, and so they would just spend time for you and train you. So yeah, it gets a bit more intensive before the real ones, but globally you just learned how to do this for your whole prépa.
And you mentioned like general knowledge questions. Do you, again, like it's not like based on a material, like a subject, right? It's just like things you have to know in general.
Well, it is, no, yeah, it is. It's still very like academic like material. Like basically like general knowledge is just one exam at the end, but in Janson and I think in most prépa you have like French class and philosophy class, and so what you learn in the two at the end you use in your essays, because in the written exam it's an essay, and the oral exam, it's quite special actually. The teachers, they just give you a random subject, but like random. Like I can give you, for example, like the table or like the floor. This is gonna be your subject, and you have like I think you have like 30 minutes to prepare like a whole argumentation on the table, or I don't know, like on the glass or the water, you know. Like it can be super random, or it can be a very philosophical question. So you prepare to be kind of, for the orals you're prepared to fall on very random subjects, and you're basically trying to know how to bullshit a bit, because like, I mean, you know, like to speak 10 minutes on, I don't know, like the lamp, you know, and like you've got to put like some references, you know, some very
quotes,
quotes, like intellectual references, and your argumentation has to make sense, you know, there's got to be like a whole progression. So, you know, it's like it's a real exercise, and you learn how to do it. So no, yeah, it's a very difficult exam. Like the oral exam for general knowledge, I think is like one of the most scary.
Well, that makes it much clearer, I think, like the whole process of like prépa and Grandes Écoles. And what do you think about like the new bac, you know, the one without the three paths, like literature, ESCS, and now there's like spécialité. Would you have preferred to do this one, or?
Well, at the beginning, I thought it was a good idea, the fact that it was a bit more free, but then I feel like it has kind of jeopardized like maths, like, because I think it's kind of an option now.
Yeah.
Not everyone has to do maths, and I think this has kind of like lowered the level in maths. Like I kind of see it, you know, because like my brother is 2 years younger, and so he was like the first generation who got the new bac, and I think that like with regards to maths, I think it wasn't like the best reform. For the rest, I don't know exactly, you know, how it works, but then I feel like there was a lack of organization. Like I don't know, like teachers who had to change programs, teach materials in which like they weren't they weren't like that they weren't used to teach. So I don't know. I'm not sure it was the best reform, but I guess we have to see again in the next years.
Yeah, we'll see. Even like we don't really know like my promo. We'll find out.
Yeah.
But maybe it'll get better with the years because it was definitely like your brother, the first generation.
Yeah, it was the first generation.
Always like that. Yeah. Okay, and like in terms of like when you were in high school, I was wondering like did you ever win the EGM awards?
I did.
You did?
Yeah.
I mean like every year? Or?
I think I got it twice. I think probably twice.
In the last years or like in
No, it was the first 2 years. So I think I got it like in troisième et seconde. I got it in troisième et seconde. Yeah.
Wow, good job.
Yeah, thanks.
Did you ever like participate in Olympiads or competitions?
Olympiad, I did the maths Olympiads, I think. Don't even know what rank I finished in, but probably very low because I didn't get it. So I don't know. I did it because my maths teacher like offered to the class. I think they were missing someone to do it, and I was like, okay, I can do it, but like definitely didn't have the level to do it. But it was a nice experience. It was fun. And then otherwise, I did the Concours.
Yeah. It's good. Our school offers a lot of like in terms of like math Olympiads and competitions.
Yeah, I did that, and maybe some other like math. I think I only did maths competitions, but never won anything great. So
okay. Did you do any like volunteering that you mentioned on your application?
I had some volunteering experiences in at HEC. So with like the course contre la faim, which we did every year, I found that really nice. Like I loved like all the like process of like getting your sponsors and like running for like to get money for a country and stuff. Like I really love doing this. And then I also did like how do you say, like a collect like
different
like a I don't know if you could call it a fundraiser or something like for
charity.
Blind it was like a for like blind people, like there's like this international day for blind people and
awareness raising.
So like with a friend we had to like basically get some money like basically in the streets, like to collect money. So did that for a day, and so obviously this went to a charity for blind people. But like this definitely like made me wanna do more volunteering, like for example in HEC, like in some there are many like clubs who do volunteering. So I'm probably gonna do this, like maybe not this year because I won't have time, but next year definitely I'm gonna try.
And do you think that's important for like HEC when they see that a student they're applying that they did volunteering?
Well, for Prépa no, because they won't see, but then probably for people like international students who apply for a master's, I think it definitely, probably it does count on their CV. I think.
I know in like America, if you apply to America or England,
definitely
they like you mentioned on your application, but I was wondering if like for Prépa you can.
For HEC, I don't know. Prépa definitely no, because it only plays on the Concours. But then for international students who want to apply, or from like French students who want to do a bachelor elsewhere and who want to come back to France and apply at HEC, probably it's definitely good to have this on your CV for sure.
And in general, like what do you think made you stand out the most on your application?
For HEC or for Prépa?
I'm not well, you there is an application for HEC.
No,
there's only Concours. So like right after high school.
I don't, but definitely
grades.
My grades for sure, definitely my grades. And then I don't really know if they read your motivation letter. There's kind of like this rumor going around that they don't really read it. So I don't know to what extent this played a role. I'd say it was like mostly my grades, I think, because like my grades for sure.
Okay, because grades are obviously like the most important thing, like the first thing they look at, and like in general in the world.
I think so, because Prépa, they do look... when you apply to very good Prépa, because obviously apply to like Parisian Prépa and like the best Prépa, everyone knows they're looking for the best students. So obviously they're going to look at grades. I don't really know if they look at your like, all the volunteering things you've done, etc. I don't really know how much that is taken into account. but I think that most of it is great.
Yeah, but that's good to know. For each university it's different, and so you know like what to prioritize and what's important.
Yeah, for sure.
And so like HEC, not like Prépa, what do you think like they're looking for in a student?
HEC?
Yeah.
Well, obviously people who have ambition, because HEC's slogan is apprendre à oser, so learn how to dare, basically. Mm-hmm. So they obviously want like tomorrow's leaders. They want people who want to, you know, do things, have an impact, change things, so obviously they'll take the best students, the people, you know, who kind of like survived the concours and who are now like ready to, you know, to attack life and just do things and have an impact, I think.
Yeah, that's where like the importance of the prépa is. It's like they know that their students are definitely gonna be ready for everything.
For sure.
And it's funny you said like their slogan. I was reading about like HEC the other day, and I saw that their like slogan is like tomorrow is our business. Have you heard like that or no?
No, I didn't. I've never seen that.
Yeah, it's funny because it's like business, you know, it's like our, but then business because it's
definitely turned towards business.
Yeah,
and it's also been a bit criticized for this, for sure. Like especially with regards to like, you know, everything that is like about the environment, climate change. You know, how do you teach tomorrow's leaders how to deal with this, like in companies, and so now we have like this whole sustainability track. So for example, at the beginning of the year, now students, they do a seminar in Chamonix to you know, like to have this first step into like sustainability and stuff. We have different conferences from experts who come to talk to us about this. And so we have, I think that we have like 3 credits which are from the sustainability track. So, you know, now every business school has to teach about, you know, how to deal with this in companies tomorrow, you know, like everything is like CSR, RSE, etc. Like it's now like everyone has to do this. But then, you know, like people criticize that, saying it's like it's greenwashing, it's bullshit, etc. So I don't know. I think it's always good to teach, and obviously like it is necessary, and everyone now needs to know about this, especially, you know, we're going to be managers later, and so, you know, we ought to know about this and know how to deal with this. So
it's a good skill to have. Yeah,
it's
important,
for sure, definitely.
So now you've been in HEC for a few months now, since September or?
Since the end of August.
Oh, end of August. Okay, so it starts earlier.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. So now you kind of like probably had your first impressions. Like, what is the community like?
Well, you know, before coming, I was a bit scared of, you know, am I going to fit in like the community and stuff, because, you know, people tell you different things. You know, they kind of warn you, you know, about, you know, certain people, etc. So I was a bit scared, but it turns out that I met great people. I found myself a great group of friends at the beginning of the year. So it was easier for me to start HEC because, you know, I knew people already coming. So yeah, it definitely helped. And then I met some amazing people, amazing friends. And, you know, you get to meet different people throughout the weeks, in different clubs, in your classes, on campus, at the bar, at the canteen even. So I really like it. There's always something to do on campus, whether it is like a club organizing something, the party on Thursday, there's always something to do. And I really love this because like you always have something different, something new to do. You're gonna meet different people, and I really love like all this frenzy. I really love, like, it's really what I love. Like I hate just like not doing anything and being a bit bored. I love to have like 3,000 things to do at the same time and have different projects to work on. So I really like this about HEC.
What do you personally do there, apart from your studies, like in terms of clubs and?
So so for now I am in 2 clubs besides my sports. So I'm in cinema and like a photography club. It's a big club in HEC, and so they basically do every Sunday they do like kind of like this cinema session projection in the big amphitheater of HEC. So they always project a movie for the people who are here on Sundays. There's like this special like section of the club where they do like they make movies basically. And so they're the ones like making the like they film, they edit, and this is the part of the club in which I am. Then you have another section, they organize activities outside of the campus, like they go out to the cinema and stuff like this. And then another club I'm in, it's the fashion club, which has like I just started now, so don't really have any projects yet, but we're getting it going. And then I'm hoping to get into a third club, which is like a professional club, because some clubs are qualified as professional. And so it's basically like the club which organizes the career fair every year on campus. Like it lasts 3 days in January, and so the club is the one which organizes the whole fair. And so yeah, I really like the organization part, like organizing events and stuff. Like I really love doing this, so that's why I hope to get into this club. And yeah, that should be my 3 clubs this year.
How do you have to apply to get into a club?
Yeah, you actually have to apply, and there's actually like a whole process of selection and stuff. You have like several rounds. So it's gonna be like interviews, which are, you know, like more or less formal, like more informal than formal, to be honest. And then you have like you have to send like your motivation, like not just an email, you know, you have to be like creative and, you know, like kind of like show yourself a bit and, you know, like kind of stand out. And then you're gonna have like those apéros to meet a bit the people from the clubs. So yeah, it lasts quite some time. Like it lasts from I'd say like to October, until October, like from September to October. And then some clubs, like the professional one I'm in, it can last like the whole year basically. So yeah, some clubs it's gonna be very, very long.
That sounds like a lot of fun. Do those like give you credits at the end of like your time in HEC?
No, it's not part of your like it's not part of your diploma, but it definitely gives you so much experience, especially in like professional clubs. You're gonna get so much like experience for your job later, because, you know, you're gonna get to contact some real companies, some real people. You're gonna get to organize events, and, you know, those are like skills that you'll have to have later on in your career. So you learn more like just like concrete skills, basically like stuff outside of your class. And most people actually say that they learn more while working for their clubs than in their classes, because like you actually get to do stuff.
Yeah. And right now, do you know what you want to do after HEC or not yet?
So like there are certain like fields that definitely interest me, like cinema production, for example, or TV production for sure. Fashion, why not? Or luxury in general, not only fashion. And then sports as well, why not? So those three fields. Yeah, I'm going towards that.
And so lastly, what advice would you give to students who to young listeners that are also wanted to go to Grandes Écoles like you?
Well, I'd say like if that's really what you want, just like go for it and just work for it. But I'd say like you've got to know that either you really want to do a prépa, either you really want to get into a grande école, because, you know, it takes some real determination to go through the process. But then again, like it's gonna be like a track in which like you're gonna learn so much, and, you know, whatever the outcome, I want to say like you're gonna learn so much for your future. So, you know, it's definitely a choice to make, but you're gonna learn so much throughout the process. So, you know, if that's really what you want to do, like you should do it. And if you have the profile for it, especially, like don't waste the opportunity, because it can get you to really an amazing place.
Well, thank you very much, Emilie, for coming over. It was really nice to have you.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you for tuning in on this episode of the Anxious Scholar podcast. See you in 2 weeks for the next interview, and don't miss out on any additional information on our Instagram at The Anxious Scholar.